We've been sailing in Europe for a year and a half now, and we've had some incredible experiences, as well as some not so awesome experiences. There's a lot to love about this place, and it's safe to say that our European adventure has completely changed our lives.
Holy moly, hey Issa.
Now, for someone who grew up in California, Europe has always seemed to me like a magical, almost make-believe place. Somewhere where the very, very old is somehow intertwined with the cutting edge. Where Ernest Hemmingway sat in streetside cafes, drinking liqueurs that I can't pronounce, switching from one language to another as he discussed art and love and war or whatever. I knew that all civilizations have a culture, but it seemed like somehow Europe had more of it. And this week, as we say goodbye to this fascinating continent, we want to talk about our thoughts on this extremely unique part of the world, the things that we like and the things we could do without. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we're clear.
Okay, good morning. So we are leaving Leros Marina behind us and heading out into the open ocean. It's a bit bumpy and rolly today because we're gonna be going basically dead into the swell and dead into the wind once we round this corner. Oh boy. We're doing that because we are leaving Greece and we're gonna check out of Kalymnos, which is about 3.5 hours away from here. But it's been stormy for the last couple days and it's gonna be stormy again starting in like 2 days from now. And so we've got this very short window to get to Kalymnos and then get to Turkey, and it's not a perfect window. So we're just gonna be motoring straight into some swell and wind today, but it's a necessary evil. How are the ladies feeling?
I'm seasick. I don't know if she is yet. I don't think she is.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it's gonna get better once we get around this point. Things should stabilize a little bit.
I hope so.
Now, over the past year and a half, we have really enjoyed getting to know Southern Europe. We are constantly surrounded by fascinating history, and it's kind of a wild ride to quickly go from one language to another. Something else we've really enjoyed is the fact that small mom and pop shops are still very much alive in a lot of Southern Europe. Butchers, bakeries, fish shops, and vegetable stands. We've found a lot of these businesses that have been family owned for generations, and as such, the people at these shops really care a lot about the quality of their product. And generally, I think that the quality of basic ingredients of food is a lot higher in Europe. Whether it's bread or olive oil or cheese, Europeans have a high expectation for the quality of their food. And with those general concepts out of the way, I now want to jump into the top 5 experiences that we've had in Europe so far. Number 1 is the grandeur of the green hills and mountains of the Azores after having crossed the Atlantic. Wow, what a view, bud.
Oh my gosh, we're above the clouds right now.
Number 2, eating seafood in Portugal.
That does look really, really good.
Number 3, sailing along the insane coastline of the island of Mallorca in Spain.
I'm just so impressed by these beautiful mountains and the crystal clear water.
Number 4, walking around the old fortresses of Malta. Obviously, Europe is known for its old buildings, but Malta is a completely different level.
Nice bell, bud.
It's a big bell.
And number 5, eating deliciously grilled meat in a restaurant that is right on the edge of the water in Greece. Waterfront restaurants are a popular thing everywhere, but eating a meal literally at the water's edge is something I'll always remember Greece for.
Well, we can swim it off on our swim back home. Yeah, I'm excited to hunker down. It's been really fun moving and exploring and seeing a lot, but I want to just find my favorite grocery store, you know, like find our favorite walk to take Oso and Issa on and just kind of slow down a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
living this lifestyle of being on the move all the time is exhausting. You know what I was thinking? To kind of give people a sense of what it's like, if people have ever moved, like from one house to another or one apartment to another, all those stresses of like figuring out what you do with your garbage, where you grocery shop, like how you get around, where to park your car, like all those things that's like a one-time difficult thing and you do it once every so often. We do that like twice or 3 times a week, basically. Wow, it has calmed down a lot. We are now in the protection of that island, and this isn't gonna last too long, but boy, is it nice for now. It's really cool just watching these big mountains pass by, you know, hanging out, cockpit. Changing the baby's diaper. Changing the old diaper. Man, I'm looking at some of these communities and little towns that are built like right on the sea at the base of these epic mountains and cliffs. It's kind of crazy to think that back in the day, they must have just been eking out an existence. I mean, this is like a harsh, rugged landscape. The sea can get fierce here. There's not a lot of fresh water. There's no plants. There's no like protection from the sun in the summer. And yet now the buildings here are like mansions. And you can tell that these towns are somewhat popular tourist towns. And it's just crazy to think about that transformation that a lot of Greek coastal communities must have gone through, from these like small, poor towns full of just hard people, like people that have lived for generations in an unforgiving and just tough environment, and then to transition over the course of probably a couple decades into this affluent, foreigner-focused economy where there's a lot of money coming in. It's crazy to think about that. Now, in our time in the Mediterranean, we have practiced med mooring a fair amount, but we actually haven't yet med moored up to a seawall. So ironically, our very last stop in Greece— Is that you? Okay, yeah, I see you. —would be med mooring to a city dock. So I was glad to be able to check that off the list before leaving Europe. Okay, drop. Dropping. Okay, stop. Hello. Take up till it's taut, please. That's good.
Can I throw this to you? Thanks.
Okay, first time actually med mooring with the anchor, and it went really well. Went very, very smooth. Now, to be fair, there's not a single other boat on this massive dock. So I feel like that would have been really, really hard to screw up. But it went so smooth that I'm pretty sure that if there was just one slot open here that we would have made it in. So yeah, that was great. In this part of Greece, almost all checking in and checking out happens through agents. So we gave them our passports and paperwork. They're off to go deal with it. They said they should be back in a half hour. Otherwise, we're gonna hang here for today and tonight, and then tomorrow morning head off to Turkey. But it's a neat little town, and I gotta say, it is pretty cool being docked right at town. I mean, behind me is the restaurants, the cafes, the shops. It would be pretty different if this whole dock was packed with boats, which I'm told in the summer it is. So having it to ourselves is pretty sweet. Hey guys, so I want to take a quick minute to tell you about today's sponsor, Babel, one of the top language learning apps in the world. Babel is great at teaching you what you really need to know as quickly as possible. Teşekkürler. Teşekkürler. Nice. And I realized that I want to share with you my top 3 favorite phrases in terms of the most simple and the most useful phrases for traveling to a new country that Babel can help you learn. The first is, you really need to know how to ask for something politely. So if I'm at a restaurant and I want to tell the waiter that I want lamb, I'll just say kuzu istiyorum lütfen. Another situation where I really need that phrase is if I'm looking for a particular piece of equipment or hardware at a hardware store. I can get a picture on Google, point at my phone, and say bunu istiyorum lütfen. My second most important phrase is, where is the bathroom? When it comes to getting lost in translation, the very worst time possible is when you really gotta go. And that one's simple. Tuvalet nerede. And the third phrase on the list, which to me, this is the most important phrase to know when you're traveling anywhere with any language, is the ability to say, excuse me. In Turkish, it's really simple. It's pardon, so a lot like saying pardon. This phrase is super helpful because you can use it to apologize, like if you did something wrong and you don't know how to express what you're thinking or feeling, but you can at least apologize. You can also get someone's attention, like if you're trying to get your waiter's attention, you can say pardon. And finally, if you need to like squeeze past a large group of people, you can say pardon. So now is the time for you to start using Babel and to start learning those key phrases that are gonna make your next vacation or international trip much, much better. Plus, learning a new language makes for a great New Year's resolution. So click on the link in the description below or scan this QR to get 60% off your subscription. Now, although we've really enjoyed our time in Europe so far, we've also had a handful of experiences that were less than perfect. And the first that comes to mind is having to deal with the Schengen Shuffle. So the Schengen area is a collection of countries in Europe that basically all share the same visa requirements. So as Americans, we're able to be in the Schengen region for 90 days out of every 180 days. So 3 months out of every 6 months. And the Schengen Shuffle is the term that sailors use to describe the shuffle between Schengen and non-Schengen countries in the Mediterranean. The bummer is that the vast majority of good cruising grounds in the Mediterranean are in the Schengen area. And the geography of the Mediterranean just makes it very difficult to successfully manage this shuffle. Now, we had a year-long residency visa in Malta, and that's how we were able to have Isabella in Malta. But now that that's ran out, we have to join the rest of our fellow non-European sailors in carrying out the Schengen Shuffle. Another drawback to this part of Europe is that sailing is extremely popular here. As we've discussed in the past, the anchorages in the summer can get downright insane, whether it be the Ionian Islands in Greece, the Balearic Islands in Spain, Sardinia, or the south of France. Basically, anywhere that's worth going is going to be insanely crowded in the summer. But finding a marina for the winter can be extremely difficult as well. In our experience, almost all of the marinas that we contacted to see if we could stay for the winter told us that they were completely full. And what ends up happening is that marinas really don't need your business. And at times it can make us feel very unwanted. But honestly, the East Coast of the United States has the exact same issue. So this isn't necessarily anything unique to the Mediterranean, but it is a serious problem. And finally, it's a lot more difficult to get off the beaten path in Europe as compared to, say, the Caribbean. With civilization around every corner, we've had to try a lot harder to find the solitude that we typically look for when exploring on a sailboat. So like we were saying earlier today, with all this nasty weather we've been having, I'm glad that we're calling it quits for the winter. But walking around this really cool port town, and a port town that you can tell is really, really busy a lot of the time, but is not busy right now. Like I see this fleet of giant like pirate ships that I'm sure just take out thousands of tourists every day. And they're just sitting there like bobbing around, no one around, you know. I don't know, there's something about seeing such a cool giant port town and hardly any people, you know.
I want everything, buddy.
Yeah.
Turkey better bring its bakery game.
It's gonna be hard to compete.
I know, and I love the Christmas cheer around here, you know. I can't believe how much we got. I don't even know where to start. Okay.
So what is that?
They said it's like an almond specialty that they make with, it's like a fluffy biscuit covered in powdered sugar. That's their Christmas specialty.
Isabella's interested. She's like, what you got over there, Mom? You want to share?
Where are we going, huh? Are we going to Turkey? It is Turkey Day, isn't it? It's not Thanksgiving. Nope, it's the day we go to Turkey. It's our last day in Greece. Gotta say, I'm pretty sad.
I think we've both agreed that Greece is probably our favorite cruising ground that we've ever been to. I mean, second to maybe Bocas del Toro, right? Mm-hmm. Greece has just so much going for it, like super friendly people, like a pretty robust economy. But she's like, Dad, you're talking too much. All right, so we've got about 2 hours to get to our marina in Turkey. It's pretty cool. I've never had such a short sail to check into a new country. I am hoping there's a bunch of like rain clouds on the horizon and the weather forecast is kind of iffy, so we're hoping that we don't get hit by like a rain squall. Otherwise there's just about 0 wind, so we should be able to get there without any problems, knock on wood. So we just crossed the line that divides Greek waters from Turkish waters. So we are now officially in Turkey. And just as we crossed over, this warship started heading right towards us. And I was just like, oh God. And it was heading towards us, and then it just basically passed us. So it went right by. It's always a nerve-wracking thing going to a new country because you're not legally in that country yet. It's perfectly legal for you to be transiting into the country, but you're just in this no man's land. And I don't know, until I get to a country and get established and like kind of get to know it a little bit, I always feel very on edge. Hey baby.
Good morning.
You awake from your nap? We're in Turkey.
We're in Turkey?
Yeah.
Happy Turkey Day.
Welcome to Turkey, baby. I don't know if we talked about this, but yesterday was Thanksgiving, so we are going to Turkey the day after Turkey Day. Right, baby? So I feel like my main takeaway that I've learned from sailing in Europe is that the best thing about Europe is the human element. The history, the architecture, the languages, the cuisine. I don't think there's a cruising ground in the world that offers such rich and diverse cultural experiences. Now, the Mediterranean definitely has stunning nature, but it's difficult to experience that nature without a whole bunch of other people with you. But I think the other thing that I've really learned is that it's just about impossible to generalize about a place as big and diverse as Europe. Just like it's impossible to generalize about the United States. So in a way, my favorite thing about Europe has been taking those broad stereotypes of Europe that I had as a kid and replacing them with a much more detailed and nuanced understanding of this region. Well, at least we know we're definitely going to the right place. They've got the name of the town, Turkish, written up on the mountain.
I love how Issa's at an age where we can just leave her down below and she kind of takes care of herself. All right, time to dock.
Hello, good afternoon. We are about 10 minutes from the marina. Understood. We will proceed to the customs dock near the Green Lighthouse.
Can I throw this one to you?